Kai Johnson didn't glide into Northwood High. He filtered in, a shadow hoping to blend with the January gray. A mid-year transfer, he carried no expectations of grand welcomes or curious glances, just the worn weight of his backpack and the quiet hum of anonymity he'd cultivated for survival. Where Kai came from, silence wasn't emptiness. It was armor. He moved with an economy of motion learned on tougher streets, scanning the unfamiliar halls of Northwood, the polished floors, the two bright trophy cases, the clusters of students defined by expensive sneakers and easy laughter. He wasn't scared, just assessing. He absorbed the rhythms, the forced loudness, the pack mentality, the way certain eyes cut across the crowd like lasers, sizing up perceived threats or easy targets. Northwood felt cleaner than his last school, shinier, but beneath the gloss, a familiar pressure began to build. Not of fists, but of scrutiny, the silent whisper of "you don't fit." First period, English with Ms. Evans, smelled faintly of chalk dust and disinfectant. A few heads turned, a whispered comment behind a manicured hand, a dismissive chuckle quickly swallowed. Ms. Evans, sharp-eyed behind sensible glasses, simply gestured to an empty desk near the back. No announcement. No awkward introduction. Kai preferred it. Less noise, less focus. He opened his notebook, the crisp, empty page a stark contrast to the crowded hallway. He listened, absorbed. Reading the room was paramount. Blending in was the goal. His Uncle Marcus called it moving invisible, not hiding, but navigating spaces not built for you with minimal friction. Walk steady, head level, voice calm if needed. Visibility could be a liability. Northwood, with its pristine facade and watchful security cameras, wasn't designed for someone carrying Kai's history, but he knew how to navigate its currents. He noticed the details others missed. The phone dependency. The teachers whose eyes slid past him during roll call. The casual cruelty and the laughter of the well-dressed kids when they thought no one listened. Kai watched, not from paranoia, but from experience. You had to see the storm brewing. By lunch, he'd mapped exits, identified the social territories, athletes here, drama club there, the pockets of quiet defiance scattered throughout. He claimed a corner table near the windows, alone by design, with his standard issue tray, dry chicken strips, pale fries, a carton of milk. No phone out, no feigned busyness. Just eating, observing, letting the cafeteria's din wash over him. He wasn't here for friends or fanfare. He was here to graduate, finish the year, keep his record clean, maybe follow his Aunt Lena's advice about that community college program out west. One semester at a time, he told himself. Head down, make it to June. But a deeper instinct, honed in places less forgiving than Northwood, knew invisibility was a fragile shield. It began subtly, the way erosion starts, a stare held too long, a laugh aimed, not shared, Tuesday lunch, same corner table, same mission of quiet endurance. Kai was halfway through a lukewarm slice of pizza when the voice sliced through the noise, loud and deliberate. You, check out the new guy's gourmet meal. Mason Bellwether, quarterback, golden boy, standing with an air of entitlement near the center tables, flanked by his usual shadows. Finn Riley, stocky and smirking, and Jake Mercer, perpetually chewing gum, eyes vacant. Mason gestured at Kai's tray. They import that from the detention center? A ripple of laughter, nervous but present. Kai didn't look up. Took another bite. Held his ground by staying still. Dude eats like he's expecting a shivving, Finn added, lower, meaner. Jake just watched, amused by the spectacle. Kai finished, gathered his trash, and walked toward the bins without a word. No glare, no comeback, just control. That unnerved Mason more than any fight would have. "Too good to talk?" Mason called after him. "Need a translator?" Kai paused at the trash can, turned, and gave Mason a single, flat look, a look that measured and dismissed him in one silent beat. The first crack in the dam. The ripples spread. Wednesday, his history notebook was found splayed on the floor after a bathroom break. No one saw anything. Ms. Evans didn't notice. Finn sat nearby, whistling softly. Thursday, Project Rat was scrawled on his locker in erasable marker. Easy to clean, harder to ignore. Kai kept his reactions internal. He took the city bus home, the route winding toward the rougher edges where the houses got smaller and the fences leaned. He cut through the alley behind the tire shop and slipped into the back door of Marcus and Lena's, the gym his aunt and uncle ran. The familiar smell of sweat, worn leather, and liniment greeted him. Aunt Lena nodded from the cluttered office, tallying receipts. "Okay?" she asked, her eyes sharp. "Yeah," Kai murmured, shedding his hoodie. Uncle Marcus, taping a boxer's knuckles, didn't probe. He just tilted his head towards the heavy bag. "Work it out, son." Kai wrapped his hands. Hook, jab, cross, pivot, breathe, control. He didn't picture faces. This wasn't about revenge, it was about release, about remembering the discipline that kept him centered. But back at Northwood, the pressure mounted. Mason couldn't stand being ignored, being made to feel irrelevant. By Friday, Kai's name, attached to fabricated histories, circulated like a virus. The new kid, acts tough, talks to nobody. Heard he got kicked out of 2 schools. Might have assaulted a teacher. Lies travel faster than truth. In gym class, Coach Miller paired them for passing drills. Mason threw the ball hard, deliberately aimed at Kai's chest. Kai caught it smoothly. "Got hands," Mason smirked. Kai returned the pass crisp, fast, accurate. It smacked into Mason's chest with a thud that silenced nearby conversations. Mason's smile tightened. Nice. Inside, though, something curdled. Kai wasn't playing the game by Mason's rules, refusing to be baited, and Mason didn't know how to win against silence. The whispers intensified. Students started giving Kai a wider berth, not out of respect, but unease. Kai's quiet presence in the charged atmosphere of Northwood felt like static electricity before a strike, and Mason was ready to provide the spark. The following week, Mason weaponized lunch hour. "Hey, Johnson!" He'd yell across the cafeteria, playing to the crowd. "You from downtown, right? Forget your ankle monitor today?" Laughter, sharp and obliging, from Mason's table. Others looked away, embarrassed or expectant. Kai kept eating, his composure a wall. That refusal fueled Mason's cruelty. Seriously, Finn leaned in one day, voice carrying. Dude looks wired, probably high. Nah, Mason countered, eyes fixed on Kai, dissecting him. He's not high. He's just another statistic waiting to bite. That one hit low, a cold knot tightening in Kai's chest. It wasn't just an insult. It was a judgment, a confirmation of how they saw him. Not a student, but a stereotype. He walked home faster that day, not from fear, but from the recognition of a pattern. He knew how this escalated. At dinner, Aunt Lena saw the tension in his shoulders. Something weighing on you? Uncle Marcus looked up from his plate. Sometimes holding it in is harder than letting it go, Kai. Remember your training. Stay grounded. But, he met Kai's eyes. If someone puts their hands on you after you warn them, you defend yourself. Don't let anyone walk over you. At school, the rumors grew teeth. He carries a weapon. He's got gang ties. During class, Mason leaned close. Ever seen a real fight, Johnson? Up close? Kai didn't turn. The kind you don't want to see. Mason recoiled slightly. That a threat? It's advice. The quiet words hung in the air. Mason's decision was made. Friday, after school. Kai walked towards the less crowded back exit, headphones in, hood up against the biting wind. He'd stayed late helping Coach Miller tidy the weight room. The relative quiet jut of the back lot was appealing. To Mason and his crew, it looked like opportunity. They emerged from a side door, flanking him. Yo, Johnson, Mason called out. Kai pulled out one earbud, kept walking. Think you're tough? Mason pressed, stepping in front of him. No, you act like it. I act like I want to be left alone. You don't get that choice, Mason snapped. Kai squared his shoulders. We done? Not even close. The wind whipped a loose chain against a fence nearby. Finn moved first. A quick, hard shove to Kai's chest. Kai held his ground. Back off, he said, voice low, even. Finn smirked, swung wild and angry. Amateur. Kai stepped inside the punch, pivoted smoothly, used Finn's momentum, swept his legs. Finn hit the asphalt with a grunt. Jake flinched back. Mason, bigger, more reckless, lunged. Kai ducked, twisted, drove a sharp elbow into Mason's ribs. Controlled force, meant to stop, not break. It was over in seconds. Mason crumpled, gasping. Finn lay stunned. Jake had his hands up, eyes wide. Kai stood, breathing evenly, hands relaxed at his sides, expression neutral. That's when Mr. Davies, the assistant principal, rounded the corner. What is going on here? Mason scrambled up. He attacked us. He's crazy. Kai blinked. I didn't start anything. They cornered me. Davies scanned the scene. No visible injuries, just thick tension and fear radiating from Mason and Finn. The lack of fear in Kai seemed to unsettle Davies more. My office. All of you. Kai nodded. No argument. No resistance. The walk to the office was thick with unspoken accusations. Mr. Davies led, glancing back nervously. Mason and Finn trailed, nursing phantom injuries. Inside, Principal Holloway sat behind a large desk, files spread out. Davies stood beside her, arms crossed. "Kai," Holloway began, voice measured, "tell me your side." Kai recounted it calmly, facts only, walking, confronted, warned them, defended himself. Holloway listened, but her eyes kept straying to a file, Kai's transfer record, likely already colored by rumor. "You're fortunate no one required medical attention," Davies interjected sternly. "I didn't want to fight," Kai repeated. "I told them to leave me alone." "It often doesn't matter who starts it," Davies said. "It matters who finishes it." Kai met his gaze. "Then maybe you should ask why they didn't stop when I asked." Silence. Holloway blinked. Davies shifted his weight. By Monday, the story had warped and spread. Kai walked through halls that felt different. He was no longer invisible. He was a cautionary tale. Students avoided his path. Whispers followed him. Judgment had already been passed in whispers and side glances. In class, the student behind him requested a seat change. At lunch, his usual table felt like an island. Across the cafeteria, Mason held court, loudly recounting a fictionalized version. "He just snapped, went full psycho on us, took Finn down like some kind of MMA fighter." Finn was conveniently absent. Jake stayed silent, looking uncomfortable. Even Chelsea Brennan, a popular girl, questioned Mason briefly. "Didn't you guys corner him?" Mason deflected. "We were just talking." He freaked. People didn't necessarily believe Mason, but challenging him wasn't worth the social cost. Coach Miller assigned Kai solo drills in gym. Distance. Kai went through the motions. After school, he skipped the gym, walking aimlessly through unfamiliar neighborhoods, needing space. At home, Uncle Marcus saw it instantly. "Rough one? People look at me different now." "Expected them to send thank you notes?" Marcus asked dryly. "No. Just didn't expect them to look at me like I'm the monster." Aunt Lena joined them. "You defended yourself, Kai. You showed control. That counts." "Not to them," Kai muttered. "To them, I'm the problem." Marcus leaned in. "Listen, when you stand up for yourself, especially quietly, it scares people who rely on noise and intimidation. You held a mirror up to Mason, showed him something weak in himself. That's what they can't handle. What do you do now?" Marcus sat back. "Keep your head up. Remember why you're there. Remember who you are. Let the truth do its work." But a small part of Kai wrestled with the what-ifs, the lingering sting of being judged before being heard. Tuesday morning, 2 extra security guards stood near the entrance. Unannounced, but the message was clear. The principal's voice came over the intercom. "An administrative review of the altercation. Formal hearing Thursday." Kai felt stares like physical weight. The school counselor, Ms. Albright, called him in, offering overly practiced empathy. "Just checking if you're adjusting okay. Do you often feel angry, Kai?" He walked out mid-sentence. That night, the video appeared online. Grainy, shot from behind the dumpsters, catching only the brief seconds of the fight itself, Finn falling, Mason lunging, Kai reacting with swift efficiency. Cut conveniently before the confrontation, before the warnings. It painted Kai as the aggressor. The caption, Northwood's new menace, out of control. Hashtags, danger zone, thug. Life, not safe. The comments were swift and brutal. Expel him. He's clearly trained to hurt people. Why is he even here? Kai read them until the words blurred. He didn't respond. What was the point? Wednesday, the official call came. Hearing at the district office, guardian required. Aunt Lena cleared her schedule without hesitation. Uncle Marcus had Kai write down every detail, just the truth. Clean and sharp. Thursday. The district office felt cold, sterile. In the conference room, Principal Holloway, Mr. Davies, a stern-faced board representative on one side, Kai and Aunt Lena on the other, his written statement in a folder between them. Mason and Finn weren't required to attend. Their narrative was already accepted. Holloway outlined the concerns about Kai's potential threat. Lena responded, voice steady. My nephew is not a threat. He practices self-defense, which is about control. He warned them. He tried to de-escalate. The board member looked up. He has combat training? Yes, Lena confirmed. Training to avoid causing harm, not seek it. Davies mentioned the video. A cropped video, Lena countered, that conveniently omits the part where 3 boys cornered one. The board member scribbled notes. We don't see the provocation, because the only part shared is the part that fits their narrative, Lena stated, weariness creeping in. Kai spoke, voice quiet but firm. They came after me. I didn't want to fight. The board member consulted the file. Yet you were involved in significant physical aggression. What should I have done? Kai asked, genuinely wanting an answer. Let them, silence. Lena sat back. This isn't just about the fight. It's about the image you already had. He's a big, quiet, black kid who knows how to stand up for himself. And you immediately assumed that made him dangerous. No one refuted it. The decision was deferred. Outside the wind bit, you did well, Lena said quietly. Doesn't feel like it. They heard you, Kai, whether they admit it or not. But the weight remained. Truth felt secondary to perception. Thursday back at school was heavy. The air crackled with judgment. At lunch, Kai sat alone, the isolation more profound than before. Then, unexpectedly, someone sat opposite him. Maya Chen, the quiet girl from art class, always sketching in corners, clutched her drawing pad like a shield. Pale, nervous, but resolute. I saw it, she whispered, leaning forward. Kai eyed her warily. Saw what? Behind the school. Monday. I was sketching. The dumpsters for a project. Her voice trembled slightly. I saw the whole thing. You told them to stop. Finn shoved you, then swung. You didn't start it. Her gaze was steady. I should have said something right away. Why now? Kai asked, skeptical. Maya looked down, then met his eyes. Because it's wrong. What they're saying, the video. If they punish you for their lies and I know the truth, I couldn't stay quiet. She looked exhausted, like the silence had become too heavy. Have you told anyone? Mr. Davies, this morning. I'm testifying at the follow-up hearing. Kai leaned back, a flicker of surprise cutting through the tension. Not just that someone believed him, but that someone had bothered to look past to the noise. That night, he told Marcus and Lena. You trust her? Marcus asked. Kai shrugged. I don't know, but she seemed real. Marcus nodded slowly. Sometimes the quietest people have the strongest voices when it matters most. Friday's hearing felt different. Maya sat at the end of the table, small but present. She spoke clearly, if nervously. They cornered him, 3-on-1. He warned them. Finn threw the first punch. Kai defended himself. He stopped as soon as they were down. He could have done more damage, but he didn't. She paused, took a breath. I saw it. Even Davies paused his note-taking. The board member peered at her. Why didn't you report this immediately? Maya flushed. I was scared. But that wasn't a good enough reason. The honesty resonated more than any polished testimony. 15 minutes later, it was over. Decision Monday. Stepping outside with Lena, Kai felt a sliver of relief. She didn't have to do that, he murmured. No, Lena agreed, pulling her coat tighter. But she did. The official email arrived Saturday. Kai Johnson is not subject to disciplinary action. Evidence confirms he acted in self-defense. Lena printed it, taped it to the fridge. Marcus clapped Kai on the shoulder. Kai stared at the words, relief mixing with the lingering bitterness of the ordeal. The system worked eventually, but it didn't erase the judgment, the fear, the weight of being presumed guilty. Still, for the first time in weeks, the quiet in the house felt like peace, not defense. The following week, the silence at Northwood shifted again. No more overt hostility, but a cautious distance remained. Mason and Finn avoided his gaze. Jake seemed to disappear at lunch. Kai wasn't a threat, perhaps, but he wasn't easily categorized either. He was an unknown quantity, a boundary. The isolation felt different, less charged, more thoughtful. Some teachers remained wary. Others, like Ms. Evans, treated him normally, handing back an essay with constructive notes and a simple good work. Kai. It felt like oxygen. Friday afternoon, the final bell screamed release. Students surged towards winter break. Kai lingered by his locker, watching the flood tide recede. Kai? Hold up! Miss Evans hurried over. We have that student assembly tomorrow. A speaker canceled. Some of us wondered, would you consider saying something? Kai froze. On stage? She smiled gently. Only if you want to. But I think people should hear from you. Your perspective. He nodded slowly, unsure. That night, staring at a blank notebook, he thought about the fight, the video, the whispers, Maya's quiet courage. He wrote one line. They tried to write my story, Now I'll tell it. Saturday, the auditorium buzzed. Kai waited backstage, heart pounding a steady rhythm. He walked to the mic. "Since I got here," he began, voice clear, "I've been called a lot of things. Quiet, angry, dangerous. Maybe you still don't know what to think. That's okay." A few nervous chuckles. "I didn't come here looking for trouble. I came to graduate, like you. But sometimes, you don't get to choose the narrative people create for you." He scanned the crowd. "I won't pretend I handled everything perfectly, but if the only story you heard about me was twisted by someone else, you don't know the real story. Where I'm from, you learn to be careful. Learn when silence is safer. Here, I learned sometimes silence lets the lies get louder." He paused. "Thank you to the people who saw the truth, who listened." He looked towards where Maya sat. "To everyone else, I'm still here. You didn't break me. Maybe just think twice before you label someone. You don't know the fight they just finished." He stepped back. A beat of silence. Then applause started, hesitant at first, then growing steady, genuine. Later, crossing the courtyard, a small freshman intercepted him. "Hey, you really know how to fight?" Kai looked at the nervous energy in the kid's eyes. "I know how to stand my ground." The kid shuffled his feet. "Could you teach me? I'm tired of being scared." Kai considered it. A different kind of fight. He offered a small, real smile. "All right. First lesson. Stand tall, even when you feel small." They walked towards the gate together. The battle at Northwood hadn't been about fists and fury alone. It was about perception, prejudice, and the exhausting work of proving your humanity in a world quick to judge. As the gates closed behind him, Kai didn't look back. He hadn't asked for the test, but he'd faced it. They tried to bury him, but he refused to stay down. The whispers might not vanish completely. The scars might remain, but something fundamental had shifted. He hadn't just survived Northwood. He had carved out a space for himself, proving that sometimes the strongest stance is simply refusing to disappear. Staying, enduring, speaking truth. That was its own kind of power.